Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news as officially and at last we finally get bids going in for Manchester United from QATAR, but also from Thomas ZILLIACUS, who we had on the show yesterday. He has put a bid in for Manchester United. There's also some transfer news, which is what I wanted to be discussing this morning, and we will be discussing. Don't worry about that. That will happen, as well as comments coming in from our captain, Harry Maguire. So we'll talk about that as well. But I suppose it's like waiting for a bus, isn't it? You wait for ages and loads turn up at once. We can officially say now with certainty that the bids have gone in from everybody, because Laurie Whitwell, Simon Stone, importantly, James Ducker, Mike Keegan, and many other people this morning in the last few minutes reporting that bid has gone in from QATAR. Also Thomas ZILLIACUS, which we'll talk about in a moment. There's mixed points on what this bid will be. You've got Simon Stone of the BBC and some other people saying that QATAR remain confident that they will be able to that this bid is competitive and that the Glazers should accept it. But then you've got Mike Keegan in the Daily Mail reiterating what he said a couple of days ago, that people feel it's unrealistic. These bids that are going in are not what the Glazers want, and the Glazers will still say no to it. So we'll digest that, I suppose. We'll talk about this Thomas ZILLIACUS bid, which has apparently gone in as well. But look, I think that the best place to start is that these bids are believed to be around 5 billion. They were believed to be around 4.5 billion before. So Jim's bid is around 5 billion. Jacqueline, welcome to Members Club. This latest bid from Al-Thani and QATAR is believed to be around 5 billion, and therefore that would put Thomas ZILLIACUS a bid around 5 billion as well. Well, as we know, the Glazers want 6. Are they going to move on that? Are the Glazers going to say, yeah, right, let's move on that? We're not that bothered about a £6 billion bid, or are they going to be like, we do want 6 billion and we're not going to move? We're not moving on that. In which case, there's many ways of looking at this. As I said, for the last few days, I've been quite frustrated about this. I think it's dragging on. It's nearly April, and I don't think we're moving any. Look, if I said to you, have we moved any further forward than where we were when the first bids went in over a month ago? And I don't think we have. First bids went in, rejected. Second bids, probably going to get rejected. Third bids, it's just time. We're just wasting time. So I find the situation very frustrating. You could also add that bringing in Thomas ZILLIACUS, who was on the show yesterday talking to Beth, him coming in and putting a bid around the same area as Sir Jim and Al-Thani just extends the process. I mean, I said this yesterday and I'll stand by it. We'd be better off if there was one person who wanted to buy Man United, because it would just be a back and forth between them and the Glazers. What we've got here is what the Glazers want. You've got 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 people, but certainly 2 or 3 people who want to buy the club outright, and they're all in the race and they're all bidding around the same. So, how long's a piece of string? If you've got 3 people all bidding around the same thing for the same thing, it could go on for ages. And as Ellen says, we're all getting mugged off. So look, it was a great show last night talking about the whys and wants of who we want, and I'm not going to repeat any of that, but I think with this bidding process, obviously what comes next is what the Glazers decide to do. And I think, as much as I hate to say it, and I'd love to be sat here this morning saying, you know what, I think they'll pick a winner in the next few days, I don't think they will. Because if you were in this position and you had 3 people bidding around the same price, would you pick one, or would you go, right, no more messing around, it's final bids in a couple of weeks? And I think that's what's going to happen. Adam's a legend of the chat. He's just gifted 5 memberships. We will be talking a bit about transfers, because that was the idea of doing the show this morning anyway. But let me just give you the detail of this Thomas ZILLIACUS bid. This has been widely reported that his offer... So remember, we've got Sir Jim and Ineos, and we've got Al-Thani and QATAR, and they're believed to have they've put their offers in now. Officially, they've put their second offers in, and it's believed to be around £5 billion. ZILLIACUS has come in. This is the guy that wants to have a 50-50 ownership. He says he's got the money to bid against the rest of them, but wants a 50-50 ownership with the fans and him. The bid is believed to be around £5 billion again. He doesn't have the wealth, personally, to buy Manchester United, and would like to join up with others. However, he does have an investment fund behind him to put the money together, and it's an investment fund which is basically owned by his social media company earnings. There's been talk of an app where fans can have their say and vote for things through that. Look, I enjoyed the interview with Beth yesterday that ZILLIACUS did, and you can watch it on the channel. And it was a very informed, and look, I don't think a lot of people agree with it, but I would describe it as idealistic. I would describe it as Lollipop Lane, and Candy Floss Clouds raining cherryade and gingerbread gates and all that nonsense. But I'm a cynic, and I've never heard anything like this happen before. Just because it's a dream doesn't mean it can't happen, and doesn't mean it's bad. Lee Berman, thank you very much for joining the members club. I just don't see how you can vote on an app for what? You know, more parking outside Old Trafford. You know, who do you want to do the press conference interview in the European games? Do you want Maguire or Varane? Well, there's no point doing an app for that. Should we sell Harry Maguire? There's no point doing an app for that. You know, I don't know what we'd be voting for. It just sounds ridiculous, and it sounds very... We don't live in a world like that. I know politics are things we don't talk about, but in a footballing sense, we don't live in a world where we vote on transfers. We don't live in a world where we vote who gets sold. We don't live in a world where we vote who should then be the next manager, etc. That's not what we do. I think some fans would like that. I do think they would. I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. I'd rather do what we do. Let somebody else make the decisions and go, they're crap at their job or they're a genius. And you look at Ten Hag and what he's done over the last year. Did we need to get involved in voting on that? No. He's a bloody genius. Did we need to get involved in what Sir Alex did? No. He was a genius. Well, he was more than a genius. He was he was a legend. Do we criticise them? Yeah. That's the beauty of football. Anybody who thinks they need to be involved in decision making, and I think some of us think we shouldn't. Our job is to critique, enjoy, praise, and do what we do as football fans. It's what we talk about down the pub. It's what we talk about at school. It's what we talk about, here. We're not here to make decisions. I don't think we should be. I actually think it would take away from the important. What we should be doing is demanding that we have the right people in charge. You put David Moyes in charge, or you put, Van Gaal in charge, or Solskjaer in charge. They're not the right people, and we all know we probably could do a better job. But you put Ten Hag in charge, or Sir Alex, and they are the right people. It's about getting the right people in the right posts. I think that fan voting is an acceptance of defeat, that we've recruited badly, because... do Real Madrid need fan voting on transfers? No, they keep winning things. For me, I don't want that. I think, as I say, I think it's very idealistic, and I think I wouldn't dismiss it as stupid, by the way. I think some people have been a bit disrespectful. As I say, it's almost like a dream world to have half ownership and half fan ownership, and you vote on everything. In fact, the Man United Supporters Trust has been going on about this for a long time. They really want it. I think this process of Man United being up for sale has made me realise I don't want it. And I might be in the minority, I don't care. I'm not bothered what people think on this. I'm not here to influence, that's not what it's all about. It's about personal opinion. I've listened to, what Must have been trying to achieve with the Glazers for the last 2 years. And for a long time, I thought it was quite a good thing. Having a fan representative on the board's not a bad idea. But as we all know with this fan base, who's that fan representative going to be? They don't represent the fans, they represent a certain section of the fans. There is nobody I know in this fan base that really wants to represent everybody, apart from probably us, and we get the most criticism. So, and I don't want that role either. So I don't really give a shit about fan ownership, if I'm being absolutely blunt. I think it's not what we need, and I don't even like the idea of it, because this fan base is very splintered anyway. So whoever the fan representative is, they're probably not going to represent me, are they? And they're probably not going to represent a lot of you. And therefore, you've got division. If you've got two United fans voting on the same thing and they can't stand each other, you're better off with a dictator in charge. At least they make a bloody decision. So that's where we are. We've sort of got this situation where I would predict that Sir Jim Radcliffe, Al Thani, and ZILLIACUS are all bidding around 5 billion, and that's where we are. I personally think that will lead to a second stage of bidding, Sorry, it would now be a third stage of bidding. And I think that unless, and we were hoping last night that it might have happened, but I said I bet it hasn't. Unless somebody has bid $5.5 billion, I really don't think that we're going to move forward over the next couple of weeks. I think in 2 weeks' time we'll still be where we are now. And I think what's going to happen now is we're just going to have another week of, you know, not a lot really, unless something breaks that there has been a really, really big bid. I think we're in for another round of bidding, and actually ZILLIACUS coming in I think makes it even longer if that's true, because now they've got 3 people bidding, which is exactly what the Glazers want. I mean, what if next week, you know what frustrates me as well is, welcome to the Members Club, don't break that, and Daniel as well. You know what frustrates me the most is the fact that it's not closed bidding, is it? We had a first round of bids and ZILLIACUS wasn't there. Second round of bids and he's gone and a bid. So what if somebody's just waiting till the third stage to come in? What if there is an Elon Musk or someone on the third stage who says, you know what, I'll put a bid in now? People are coming late. You know, have you ever been to the cinema and you get there 20 minutes early and you take your seat and then you think, that's it now, everyone will be here. And then 2 minutes after the film, people are still coming in and sitting down, rustling with their popcorn. Get out! I feel like that's what's going on here. We haven't closed the bidding process. Even though we're having different rounds of bidding, new people are coming in all the time. At the start of last week, we had 2 people who wanted to buy the club outright, Sir Jim and Althani. We've now got 3. It's elongating the process. And who wins? The Glazers. Glenny Boy says, how can fans vote on something the club are not in 100% control of? If the winners' clubs turn down the bids, we could have polls over and over and over, says Glenny. Exactly. Morning Mark says, Connor, I saw you in Manchester with my dad on Thursday. Great show. Don't have a good day. Have a great day. Yes, that was a good story, Connor. Yeah. Seb, yeah, it was a good story, that. I might do that one again. It's going to take a while, sadly, says PD. Derek says, I'm getting sick of this now. Only United could do this. It's the biggest sports club purchase in history. It's going to take time, says Steve Marsh. Steve, thanks for giving us an alternative view, but I think that's wrong. I think you're wrong, but right, but wrong. You can't just sit there with your coffee and crisps. No, who eats crisps for breakfast? Your coffee and toast, saying it's the biggest sale in club history. It's going to take time, because that's like your builder fixing your roof and saying, it's a big roof, it's going to take time. Fine, I'll see you next year. No, why is it going to take time, and how long is it going to take? And that's the devil in the detail, pardon the pun. Why is it going to take why is it taking so long? Because the Glazers are greedy. The Glazers are greedy and they're trying to get as much money as they can out of it. You can't hide behind it's the biggest sports club sale in history and just go, it will take time. It's also the biggest scam in history, because they bought us for nothing, they put us into debt, and now they're trying to get a price that's unrealistic. It's not the biggest sale in history, it's the biggest scam in history, and they are elongating it at the detriment of, yet again, the football team and the football fans. And if they cared about this football club, it would be a very different process. I mean, I quite liked what FSG were planning to do at Liverpool, but don't seem to be doing it anymore. It looked to me like they were selling their club because they looked at Man City and Newcastle and felt that they didn't have the personal wealth to compete with them, but they cared about the club and what they'd done with it, and therefore wanted to seek investment to make them, be able to deal with that level of competition. The Glazers want to sell because they can't be asked to spend any money on the club anymore, but they also want to take unreasonable money out as a fee. It's not the biggest sports sale in history, it's the biggest scam in football, and that's what's happening, in my opinion. Can you also imagine rival fans buy in to vote for crap decisions, says George? I know. Can you imagine? Yeah, you can imagine that, can't you? We're all voting on who we should buy back, and then a load of Liverpool and Arsenal fans, they put their $3 in and start, scamming the vote that we buy Fellaini back out of retirement. Mojo says the entire sale process is becoming just like another player transfer saga. By the time it's done, all excitement will be sucked out of it, says Mojo. And how can this 50-50 part ownership with fans work? Would this not affect proof of funds? The bloke is using it as a publicity stunt, says Cameron Lane. Well, look, I felt that maybe yesterday. I felt that maybe yesterday might be the case, but the fact that I've seen numerous outlets reporting that a bid has gone in means that the club have done that. James Hickey slowly putting his crisps aside. Finn says that the Qatar bid is the biggest bid. It's how big is it though? Is it 5.1 billion? Is it close to that? Mike Keegan's saying those close to the process insist that the Glazer family, who own United, have set a price for the club, and there remains concern that they will seek an unrealistic sum north of £6 billion. Sky are saying that Al Thani's improved second bid for Manchester United is described as highly competitive and will remove all debt from the club, but the Glazers want £6 billion. Qatar bid also said to be considered and rational. Look, I'm not going to change what I've been reading and what I've been told in the last sort of half an hour, that this Qatar bid is not £6 billion. Now, there was a story last night that it was, but the general consensus from those people in the know is that this bid is not close to £6 billion. It's not even £5.5 billion. I'd be guessing if I said what it is. I think it's about 5.2. To be honest, I think it's about 5.2 billion, if it's that. But it sounds like it's bigger than Sir Jim. But I don't. I mean, look, £100 million is a lot of money. 5 billion from Sir Jim, 5.1 from Qatar and Al Thani is still £100 million more, isn't it? So, we go, it's 0.1, but it's still £100 million. I think Beery makes a great point. Would that be with the debt? I think people get sort of laboured by the debt here. My understanding is that if Sir Jim bids 5 billion and his intention is to clear the debt, he'll give 5 billion to the Glazers and then come into the club and pay 600 million to clear the debt. The shocking reality is that these bids do not include debt. The Glazers are not paying off the debt. So work it out like this. People keep saying, does that include the debt? If you bid 5 billion to the Glazers, they're walking away with 5 billion. They're not going to clear the debt and walk away with 4.4 from your 5. So you will pay the Glazers what you offer, and then when you walk in the door with the keys, you will have to pay another 600 million to clear the debt. So all these bids that are going in, and let's pretend that Sir Jim Radcliffe's bid is 5 billion and Al Thani's bid is 5.2 billion. Whoever wins has then got to pay another 600 million to clear the debt. So they're both saying that they're going to clear the debt, but the debt's not being cleared by the fee that the Glazers get. And that's always been stated by everybody. So if you are one of those people who keep asking, does that include the debt? Well, it does, but it doesn't include it in the fee. You've got to pay it when you get the door. It's like the best way of explaining it is, if you buy a house for £1 million and you know the swimming pool in the back garden needs fixing, the new owners ain't going to fix the pool for you out of the funds you've given them to buy the house. You'll buy the house and you'll have to pay to fix the pool as well. I'm not talking from personal experience there. The pool was in good working order when I moved in. Stephen, if the Qatar bid is around 5 billion plus debt, so reality is north of 5.5. Glazers will walk away with never putting their hands in their pockets, says Stephen. Exactly, it's a bloody disgrace. It's a disgrace. We're not at that point yet, but whenever they walk away, if they walk away, they will still remain a stain on the history of this football club. What they've done to it over the last 17 years is out and out criminal. It's not criminal, is it? Because they've been in prison for it. But in a footballing sense, it's criminal to, or at least it should be criminal, to buy a club on debt, rinse it dry, let it decay and rust, leave the debt, and then pocket 6 billion. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And football needs to take a long, hard look at itself, because Manchester United is one of the biggest football institutions in football history. And what's happened to us over the last 17 years should be a lesson to everybody and those in authority as well. How does a football club like Manchester United, a football club that players died playing for in 1958, coming back from a game and that horrible tragedy in Munich, and that club had to, that club after 58 was almost on the brink of extinction. How do you come back from that? And it did, and it is where it is today. We've had the tragedy, and then we've had the rebuilds, and we've had the joy, and the club goes on, for it to be allowed to fall in the hands of somebody that just saw it as an asset to strip and buy it on debt and let it decay and rot and milk it. How has that been allowed to happen? And then to top it all off, the cherry on the cake, they can walk away with 6 billion quid and leave it in debt. I can't speak about how disgusted I am by that. You know what? I have to bury it, and I'm sure many of you feel the same. I have to bury it because this club means so much to me, and it means so much to so many people who I know, and people who aren't even here anymore. And to know that these greedy people have done this and can walk away and sit there with smiles on their face going, no, we want 6 billion. It's the power. It's the power they've got on the thing that we love so much that really, really grinds the gears. I cannot get my head around it. How they've bought it on debt, bled it dry, let it decay, let it rust, and then they're sat there now, still with the power to go, we'll go when we want. We'll go when we want. We're the Glazers, we'll go when we want. And also, we won't go with an apology. We won't let it go to good owners at a fair price and piss off. We're still going to rinse you. They're still going up yours to us, aren't they? Like, really, if the money they've made out of this club over the last 17 years, they should walk off with their hands in their air going, look, we got away with it. Sorry, we're going to gift it to the fans. No, not even that. You've got away with it, and you're still going to try and get away with more. You're still going to go, we want 6 billion and we're leaving the debt. It's a disgrace. We moan about a lot of things. We moan about referees. We moan about a lot of things. But I tell you what, there is really something wrong with the game of football when people can get hold of your club and do what they've done to our club and still be sat there with no accountability and no regulator going, what do you think you're doing? Get out of our game and piss off. You can have 3 billion and go. There should be something going on there. But the Premier League and whoever else is in charge of football, UEFA, everybody else, they're just going, oh yeah, let them crack on. Let them crack on. Imagine the mental strain and frustration it causes United fans over the last 17 years and today. And, you know, all these organisations, they go on about fair play, equality and, you know, fan well-being, mental health. They couldn't give a shit. They couldn't give a shit. None of them could. All they care about is putting money in their pocket. Good day, Mark. Weird times. Do you think you could grow a big moustache like an Oz? I couldn't. I was telling this story on in Manchester the other night. When I was younger, I used to love Manchester things, so I loved Oasis, and to this day I sort of can, but I couldn't when I was about 16. I couldn't grow proper sideburns, so I just used to let my hair grow long, and you know, in the wind I'd nearly take off because they'd just go up in the air, and I'd be like, get ready for takeoff, fasten your seatbelts. But no, I can't. I don't think I've ever tried to grow a moustache. Mark, coming to see you Wednesday. Last live gig was Prince in 2014, so you have a lot to live up to, says DPL. Well, and look what happened to Prince. Oasis are Man City fans, but they were rubbish when I used to like them. I mean, you can't. I don't choose my music based on who people support. You know, I draw my line at the Beatles, but that's about it. Just as a reminder, by the way, we were talking about the last United Stand tour show of this run. It's next Wednesday in London. I think there was about 50 tickets left last night. I think we're down to about 20. So if you are thinking about getting some, it's the international break. It's in London. It's a fantastic venue, and we've got loads planned for you. So make sure if you are going to come, get your tickets today, and we can't wait to see you on Wednesday. Really looking forward to it. They're great shows. What do I want to talk about next? So look, that's where we are with the bids at the moment. We'll have to wait and see. But as I say, I can't lie about the fact that I find it really, really frustrating what's going on. And I think it's a disgrace how we're all just playing, we're all dancing to the tune of the Glazers because we've got no power and need. I mean, look, the Premier League should have power in this. They should have. They just don't care. Look at how they were all over the Chelsea sale. They don't care about the Man United sale. They're basically, the Premier League, UEFA, and everybody else have left Man United fans hanging out to dry for 17 years. At no point have they ever helped us. At no point have they ever cared for us. At no point have they ever thought about the welfare and mental health of Manchester United fans under the Glazer dictatorship. They haven't. And it is a dictatorship because they've taken dividends and no one's ever given a toss. They've let the club stay in debt. They haven't rebuilt the stadium. They haven't renovated. They are leeches and nobody cares about Man United fans. And I tell you what, that's why for me, I don't massively care about the FA, the Premier League or any other football organisation because they've never cared about us. In fact, I actually think they're jealous about us. I don't think they like us. You know, you see it all the time with Casemiro's red cards and any injustice against United. Oh, it's United, let them go on it. And you know what? I'm not a Liverpool fan, but I do sort of agree with Liverpool not English because ultimately, you know, I couldn't really give a shit about the England national team. I only care about the Man United players. It's the FA, isn't it? They don't care about Manchester United. Why should I give a shit about them? They've left us out to dry for years, and I find it disgraceful what's happened to this football club. There's not a lot we can do as fans, but I think we play in the Premier League, we play in UEFA tournaments. Nobody's done a bloody thing about this. They just let it happen, and now here we are, still again being dictated to by these owners. Anyway, let's move on. There is a story coming in from Christian Falk around MUANI, the Eintracht Frankfurt striker, which you may well be aware of as a potential target for Manchester United this summer. So what Christian Falk is saying, who is a German journalist, very close to Bayern Munich, but very good on his Bundesliga stuff, he's wrote this morning that there's a feeling that it's no longer realistic that MUANI will stay at Eintracht Frankfurt this summer. He's thinking of a move to a big club and that Manchester United are a big thing for the player and that they are preparing a bid for him this summer. I mean, I'm not going to add too much to it because MUANI is a player that we've spoken about before. However, look, he's a good player. There ain't no doubt about it. And I know there's a lot of people in the chat that do like him. The issue is that Harry Kane and Osimhen will be higher targets. And I think MUANI comes down as, you know, it's that area we don't want to go into, isn't it? It's the area where you want Ten Hag to get his first... You want him to get his first choice. If he's not going to get his first choice, you want his second choice. You don't want to be getting third or fourth choice. And I think that's where MUANI is for me. He's a third or fourth choice striker. However, I do think he's a sort of striker that has the raw capabilities that Ten Hag could get more out of him. So... Look, if we end up signing the lad, I ain't going to be against it. I think realistically, though, what price would you pay for him? Because there's talk of 70, 80, 90 million. Well, I think for a striker like that, the limit has to be 60. Nothing more. But look, we're going to get linked to a lot of strikers. And as much as we might be scouting him, it doesn't mean we're going to put a bid in. We might be scouting him because we are going to put a bid in. But I think everything goes back, unfortunately, to this frustrating standstill where the handbrake is on. Are we going for MUANI? Are we going for Harry Kane? Are we going for Osimhen? Or are we going for somebody else? And I guarantee if I was sat with Erik Ten Hag and Richard Arnold and John Murtaugh right now, they'd all be having the same thing I'm about to say to you, that Manchester United are currently at a standstill because they don't know who they are going to sign in the summer because they don't know who is going to be in charge. I don't know whether they've got any mods, but if you could just do a little bit of work around people putting new bid in. I mean, I can't speak at the stupidity of it. We are literally 28 minutes into the news show on the morning where we've spoken about a new bid and people are talking about a new bid. I can't speak at that level of incompetence from people in the chat. You really are thick. I mean, I don't say that with any joy, but you really are stupid. Like, we've just spent 20 minutes talking about the bid process and the new bid going in, specifically about the new bid going in from QATAR and ZILLIACUS, and you're coming in going, no bid, no bid. I mean, you're the sort of people that walk into a cinema halfway through thinking it's just started, aren't you? You people... You people, you're what ruin it for intelligent people. There is no new news about a new bid that wasn't new news 25 minutes ago. It's just pure stupidity, and you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself. Get up early, be like Gary Neville. Get up at 4 o'clock. Attack the day. Attack the day. Don't come into the show halfway through and start talking about the headline we spoke about for 20 minutes. have a word with yourselves. You could be doing a lot better. You're a noopid, says Yusuf. You're not stupid, you're noopid. No, look, seriously, there is no new bid that we didn't talk about 20 minutes ago. Qatar and ZILLIACUS bids have gone in, so Jim's have already gone in. They're all around 5 billion. Let's see what happens next. But, slow sports news there. Slow sports news. Simon, what are your thoughts? My thoughts are we're going to be waiting around for a very long time. Look, MUANI would be very interesting, but as I said, sort of going back to the bid process, which is what we have to do with everything at the moment. We ain't buying Osman at the moment. We ain't buying Harry Kane at the moment. We ain't buying MUANI at the moment because we are basically stuck with 3 transfer budgets in the summer. No transfer budget if the Glazers stay, a smaller transfer budget if it's Sajim, and a big transfer budget if it's Al-Thani. I don't want us to go for Kane, says Lee Berman, not because of the player, but because of the circus around how long it will take to get him. Well, it's interesting you talk about Harry Kane there, Lee, because if you look at the betting odds, and get your chats in, but Matthew says Kolo Muani was brilliant last night. Looking forward to facing him on Monday. He's an interesting player, and if Ten Hag wants it, I'll back it. And it's the same with Kane. But Harry Kane, look, all I'll say about Harry Kane is that, and I've said it to you a few times, if you want Harry Kane, he will not play a game for Man United till September. And that's a bad thing when you're trying to get in a title race. He'll have no pre-season. He won't play the first few games of the season because Spurs' blueprint on selling players is well documented. They will hold out just to... You know what Spurs are? They piss people off. That's what they do. They piss their own fans off because they can't win trophies. They're a frustrating club. And what they are with transfers is they will sit there purposely until the end of August and then let him go right on the last minute. Well, we don't want that to happen. We don't need that. We need players. Ten Hag is a developer of talent. He needs that talent there on the tour and at the start of the season. Look at the Anthony situation. I think if we'd got Anthony in June, he'd be having a better season now. I think Anthony, Casemiro's just a beast of a player. He's experienced. He came into that team and it still took him a month to get going. I think Anthony's still suffering from the fact that he started with us late and he's had a few injuries and we've had a stop-start season. He just can't get any rhythm because he didn't have a pre-season. And I would use Anthony as the prime example of why we need to get our players in on the tour. Get them on the tour, get them integrated into the team, the way Ten Hag works, hit the ground running. Harry Kane will not hit the ground running. He'll come into the team and quite rightly, Harry Kane will come into that team in early September, big time Charlie, because he's a goal scorer and he's selfish. The team will have to adjust to him and we won't have a pre-season. It'd be a terrible, terrible signing, I think, Harry Kane, in the sense of when it would happen. If we could get him in on July the 1st, I think it would be different, but it wouldn't. It'd be September the 1st. Although, if you are a fan of Harry Kane, which I know some of you are, and I think he's a world-class striker. I don't want it, but he would be. He is odds on. His next club is odds on to be Manchester United. Mark, stop making excuses for Anthony. I'm not making excuses for Anthony, Luke. I mean, look, I did the show in Manchester on Thursday, and I asked the question to the crowd, who will have the better future, Sancho or Anthony? And it was quite a muted response. But you mentioned the name Garnacho or Pellistri, and people get really excited. So, look, I don't think it's Sancho or Anthony at the moment. I think the jury's out on both players. But I do actually think that Anthony hasn't shown nearly anything about what he's all about. And I do also think that he is a player that really is suffering a little bit from, injury, World Cup, and starting late with us. I think a pre-season would have done him the world of good. But again, that didn't happen. Just wanted to bring you this. I had to do it. And I've done it. I've played the game, so I had to bring you this. So Harry Maguire's been on England duty. This is a quote from Harry Maguire. When I play, I think in my last 8 or 9 starts with Manchester United, we've won. I don't remember losing a game with Manchester United. It must have been at the start of the season. My influence is still there. This guy has amazing self-belief, doesn't he? Amazing self-belief. It's incredible how much he bigs himself up. And for that, he should always be applauded, even if you find it laughable or even if you want to believe it. He is his own biggest fan. The Harry Maguire fan club is run by Harry Maguire. He writes his own, posts. He replies to every letter, and he's got it on his wall. I'm Harry Maguire's biggest fan, and he probably wears that around the t-shirt for breakfast. Yeah, I don't know what to say to this, because how many minutes on the pitch? Who was the opposition, and how many minutes were you on the pitch? And how many games did you play well? Like, my influence is still there. Look, I thought Maguire was crap in the last game. Absolutely crap. And we won against Fulham. I mean, he got booked in the first. I thought he was crap against Fulham. And I thought that the fact that if Fulham hadn't gone down to 9 men, we would have lost, he would have got pelters. So, look, when you play for Manchester United, you can win games and it can be nothing to do with you. But the most important thing here is, on Harry Maguire is, right, I've played the last 8 or 9 games, we've won. I don't remember losing a game. My influence is still there. Look, this ain't... I can't make it any more clearer on my opinion here. If you think your influence at Man United is so big, why are you not starting every game? If you think your influence at Man United is so important, why don't you start most games? If your influence in the dressing room from the bench is so important, why aren't you starting games? Like, I've played the game. At no point in my career, at amateur level or any level, have I had somebody in the dressing room who starts shouting at the team and influencing them and then not walking out on the pitch with them. The only person that does that is the manager. This myth that there's a player in the dressing room who doesn't actually play for the team shouting at everybody and getting them up for the game is not. Can you imagine how ridiculous that would be? Whoever you're playing for this weekend or who you have played for in the past, you're in the dressing room, the manager does his speak, and then the bench player puts his hand up and goes, "Can I have a chat with everyone? Right, lads, go out there and do it." It's a nonsense. Maguire's role at Manchester United is diminished. This ain't hate. This ain't anything other than reality. If he wants to stay at Man United as third choice centre back, crack on, mate. Crack on. You do your best. My opinion, we need better than you for third choice centre back anyway, and I would sell you. But this complete nonsense that you are a valuable player to this Manchester United first team and an influence on the first team is completely flawed, because Varane and Martinez are considerably better than you. It's not even close. No logical football fan, unless they're English biased media representatives, would consider picking Harry Maguire or Victor Lindelof ahead of Martinez and Varane. They are considerably better than you. So this justification that you're an influence on the team and that at the moment you're just unlucky because they're in form, you're not unlucky. They are way better than you. They, on an average day, are better than you on a good day. Harry Maguire's problem is we keep getting this regurgitated cycle of quotes from him and people asking questions about him. And the reality is, it's like a Red Bull and a Ferrari on the front of F1 and then a Vauxhall Astra in third place saying, "I can compete." You cannot. Your only chance is Varane or Martinez get injured. That's it. That is it. And this constant merry-go-round of Maguire's good enough to compete with Varane and Martinez. I don't care about how many games he's started. I don't care about what he wants to do for the future. The cold, harsh fact for Lindelof and Maguire, and I like both players in different ways, is that you are not good enough unless our two centre-backs get injured. And actually, I think there's a big problem when Varane needs to be rested or Martinez gets injured, in the fact that Lindelof and Maguire ain't good enough to come into that team and maintain the levels we've set. Soon as Lindelof or Maguire come into that team, I become more concerned about the results that we're going to get. We need to buy a centre-back. Maguire needs to be sold. And look, let him go and do his podcast with, try and think of a podcast that he could do. He can tell us about how, unfair it is that he doesn't get the credit he deserves. But look, football's about what happens on the pitch. And look, Maguire's the captain of the team. I hope he's lifting up the Europa League and the FA Cup, but he ain't good enough. Ain't good enough. When Varane and the cold harsh fact is, and nobody can argue with me with this, not even Ricky, if Martinez and Varane are fit, Maguire's nowhere near. And it's the same for Lindelof. Embarrassing statement. Just shows he has zero standards and accountability. So look, you've got to believe in yourself, Julian. You have to believe in yourself. Like, it's a mental game, football. You know, mentally you've got to believe in yourself. But I'm getting a bit tired of it. It's like the bidding process. I'm getting a little bit tired of the constant questions in the press conferences and the constant statements every time there's an international break about how good he is, and how he's unlucky, and how he's an influence on the team. The reality is, it's like Scott McTominay saying it about Casemiro. You're nowhere near that level. You're not. You're a backup to Casemiro, and Maguire is a backup to Varane or Martinez. That's what he is. And I'd rather play Luke Shaw at left centre back than Maguire anyway. So he's a backup to Varane. That's his job. We shouldn't be talking about it. It's ridiculous. I hope you're well. Hope the tour went well. Do you see Bruno as our long-term captain? Who do you see long-term? Well, look, Casemiro captained Brazil yesterday. Harsh. I mean, I think maybe it should be him. Nathan Allen says, I think the ZILLIACUS bid is best for the club because with supporters of the club having a stake, for the fact the supporters will have the final decision on what happens. I think it's an absolute nightmare, Nathan. So you think that fans voting on transfers and the stadium's a good thing? Okay, Nathan, what do you want? You want to stay at Old Trafford? Okay, Jim wants to move to a new stadium. What are you going to do? There's your fan opinion, mate. What are you going to do? Jim wants a new stadium. You want to stay where we are. Well, no. What are you going to do, Nathan? Because someone's going to get upset, and then it's not a fan opinion, isn't it? Mark, you played the game. I played the game. The chat played the game. We can say that Harry is delusional, says Wolf. Look, I just don't think he helps himself. I think he needs to leave. But Amash says you decide based on majority. I disagree. I don't think that's the way to do it. I think I'd rather just have one person in charge who knew what they were doing. Anyway, look, apparently we've had a tweet coming out from Fabrizio. Let's have a quick look. Good show this morning, everyone. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. Love the fact that we have points. So, Fabrizio's just saying what he's always saying, that investments will be on stadium, facilities and first team infrastructure. All groups now waiting for the Glazers, and that's in relation to that. Look, I think at the end of the day, there's one positive that the bids have gone in, but I'm pretty sure that there'll be a third stage of bidding. I don't think the Glazers will. There was this talk about the next stage being that the Glazers will pick one bidder to work with. I think they'll open up another round of bidding. I really do. But we'll have to wait and see. Look, thanks everyone for watching this morning. You've been an absolute pleasure. Whether you're watching live or not, don't forget to smash a like on the video and subscribe. As I said, there are a little bit of tickets left for next Wednesday in London. Be great to see you there. Links in the video description for that. Jaden Sancho, happy birthday, says just Kevin. And No Deal or No Deal, hosted by the Glazers, says Crazy. Thanks everyone for watching. Have a great day, whatever you're doing. In fact, don't have a great day. Have a good day. Don't have a good day. Have a great day. Attack the day. Whatever. Mark, what's your thoughts on Southgate saying England can't miss Rashford if he never played for us, says Aaron Riddard. Mate, I don't care whether England won 2-1 the other day. I don't even like England anymore, and I'm English. I can't get behind England football team when they're managed by a prat. He's an absolute prat. Some of the stuff he comes out with is ridiculous. I heard him talking about equality of wages the other day. He's just a bloody politician in a suit. I think he's a rubbish coach who wouldn't get a job in the Premier League, and he's managing England with all that talent. If England win anything, it'll be despite him. I'm not going to change my mind. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but I don't want the milkman managing England, and I think the milkman would do a better job. And milkmen don't even exist anymore, do they? Anyway, on that bombshell, let's go. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you all in a bit.